annual reporting to the local government body of data collected on motor vehicle stops. So that's what this is. There's four metrics of which you want to measure. Is evaluate and compare the number of motor vehicle stops within the applicable jurisdiction of persons who are recognized as racial or ethnic minorities and persons who are not recognized as racial or ethnic minorities. 2, examine the disposition of motor vehicle stops made by officers employed by the agency, categorized according to the race of ethnicity of affected persons as appropriate, including any searches resulting from stops within the applicable jurisdiction, and evaluate and compare the number of searches resulting from motor vehicle stops within the applicable jurisdiction and whether contraband or other evidence was discovered in the course of those searches. And finally, information relating to each complaint filed with the agency alleging that a peace officer employed by the agency has engaged in racial profiling. Based on those, the results, the analysis of the material from Amarillo College revealed that we are in compliance with Article 2.132. I have supporting documentation that we have reporting this, collecting it, our officers are receiving training that they're required to, and that we're in compliance with all applicable laws with TCOL, and that all or any complaints are also being taken care of. As we move along to page 4, the report details the analysis of Amarillo College Police Department policies, training, and statistical information on racial profiling for the year of 2024. The report is divided into 6 sections. It's Amarillo College Police Department policy on racial profiling. 2 is Amarillo College Police Department training and education on racial profiling. 3 is Amarillo College Police Department complaint process and public education on racial profiling. 4 is analysis of Amarillo College Police Department traffic stop data. And 5, additional traffic stop data to be reported to TCOL. And the final one is Amarillo College Police Department compliance with applicable laws on racial profiling. For the purpose of this report and analysis, the definition that we use for racial profiling is racial profiling means a law enforcement initiated action based on an individual's race, ethnicity, or national origin, rather than the individual's behavior or information identifying the individual as having engaged in criminal activity. That's from Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 3.05. So the Amarillo College Police Department policy on racial profiling, that is outlined in our policy and procedures 3.25. And additionally, our complaint investigations are detailed in 2.10. There's 7 specific requirements mandated by Article 2.132 of CCP, and all 7 of those are covered in our policies and procedures. Policies and procedures provide a clear direction that any form of a based or racial profiling is prohibited, and that officers found engaging in that activity will be disciplined up to and including termination. It also provides a very clear statement to the agency's philosophy regarding equal treatment of all persons, regardless of race, ethnicity, or national origin. Move over to page 5. At the top, that's Department Training and Education on Racial Profiling. Texas Occupation Code 1701.253 and 1701.402 require a curriculum in which officers receive certificates on racial profiling. All officers have completed that. That's due through TCOL training and other individual training. That's documented in their personnel files. Next item, Amarillo College Police Department complaint process and public education on racial profiling. Article 2.132B 3 through 4 of CCP requires a complaint process on racial profiling, and the agency provide public education on the complaint process. All of that is outlined in our policy 3.25, which is bias-based profiling, and complaint investigation policy 2.10. The next item is Amarillo College Police Department statistical data on racial profiling. The state requires that we obtain all information on traffic stops, moving vehicle traffic stops, and that it's to be reported by law, which we do. So as we move down to the bottom, analysis of data. Analysis number 1, which is evaluate and compare the number of motor vehicle stops within the applicable jurisdiction of persons who are recognized as racial or ethnic minorities and persons who are not recognized as racial or ethnic minorities. So if we move to page 6, that's a chart. That chart depicts the percentage of people stopped by race, ethnicity among the 173 motor vehicle stops that we conducted in 2024. As you look on there, the blue line will indicate percentage of our student population of that ethnicity, and the orange is our total number of stops. And that chart says that white drivers constituted 47.4% of all drivers stopped, and whites are 35.06% of the student population. Black drivers constituted 12.14% of all drivers stopped, and blacks constitute 6.48% of student population. Hispanic or Latino drivers constituted 36.99% of drivers stopped, and they are 49.6% of our student population. Alaskan Native or American Indians, there were 0% stopped, and they are 0.73% of our student population. Asian or Pacific Islanders were 3.47% of drivers stopped, and they are 2.85% of our student population. So the chart says basically all demographics except for Hispanic and Latinos were stopped at higher rates than the percentage of our student population. So with that, there's some methodological issues, which is that it's important to note that differences in overall stop rates of a particular racial or ethnic group compared to that racial or ethnic group's proportion of the student population or any other population benchmark cannot be used to make determinations that officers have or have not racially profiled any given individual motorist. Claims asserting racial profiling individual motorists from the aggregate data utilized in this report are erroneous. So I'm going to discuss 3 problems with that real quick. The first problem, problem 1 on page 8, is when you're using group level data to explain an individual officer's decisions. So we're taking all this data and we're trying to determine on that data what an individual officer does. And you can't prove an individual officer as racial profiled an individual motorist based on the rate at which the department stops any given motorist. There's no way to determine what that officer's intent is at the time of that, especially using aggregate data. Problem number 2, problems associated with population race baits. The base rate serves as a benchmark for comparison purposes, and that's dictated by the state. While the report utilized the Amarillo College overall student population as the base rate, this population measures only a segment of the populations who are subject to traffic stops by Amarillo College police officers, which includes faculty, staff, and individuals of the general public. So with that, there's really no way to determine who we're stopping without going into a more intensive investigation, which is not part of the scope of a traffic stop. So in sum, the valid measures of the driving population does not exist. As proxies, student population data is used and can be a problematic indicator of the driving population on and around the Amarillo College campus. So our benchmark, which I got from Colin, that includes distance learning students who will not even be on campus. It doesn't include dual credit students, but it does include distance learning students. So that creates an even further problem with the analysis. As we move on to page 8, or I guess finish in bottom of page 8, Problem number 3 is officers don't know the race or ethnicity of the motorist prior to the stop. Of our 173 stops, none of them, the race was known before the stop. So by definition, that's provided as racial profiling. If an officer doesn't know the race or ethnicity of the motorist, it can't be racial profiling. So then again, that's another thing that creates a problem with our analysis, just off of aggregate data. We'll go to comparative analysis number 2, which is towards the bottom of page 9. Examine the disposition of motor vehicle stops made by officers employed by the agency, categorized according to race or ethnicity of affected persons as appropriate, including any searches resulting from stops within the applicable jurisdiction. So this is really a better way of determining whether or not there's racial profiling, because now the officer knows who they've stopped and they're dealing with that person and the race ethnicity. In 2024, we had 0 searches on any of our motor vehicle stops. And I can go into further detail of why that kind of is. So with this benchmark, we know if you're not searching anyone, then you're not profiling anyone. If we move to page 10, that's the chart of traffic stops and outcomes by race and ethnicity. So this breaks down data that's required for us to collect, and it breaks it down into gender, male, female, ethnicity, reasons for stop, a violation of law, pre-existing knowledge, moving traffic violation, vehicle traffic violation, breaks it down, result of stop, verbal warning, written warnings, citation, a written warning and arrest, a citation and arrest, and then arrests, what they're based on. Whether that's a violation of penal code, violation of traffic law, city ordinance, or outstanding warrant. And then lastly on the table is whether or not force was used during arrest. Page 11 breaks down some of that information. So as I previously said, we conducted 173 motor vehicle stops. We had 1 arrest as a result of those stops. Written warnings were issued 126 times, which was 72.83%, and citations were issued 46 times for 26.59%. Written warnings, white motorists received a warning roughly 50% of the stops involving white motorists. Black motorists received a warning roughly 62% of the stops involving a black motorist. Hispanic Latino motorists received a warning roughly 66% of the stops involving that demographic. Asian Pacific and Islanders received a warning 50% of the time during the stop of that demographic. And regarding citations, white motorists received a citation 17% of the time when they were stopped. Black motorists 38% of the time when they were stopped. Hispanic Latinos 36% of the time they were stopped. And Asian Pacific Islanders 50% of the time they were stopped. As I said, the 1 arrest was due to an outstanding warrant. So that was kind of a non-discretionary arrest. No physical force was used during the year, so we had none of that. Comparative analysis number 3, evaluate and compare the number of searches involved resulting from motor vehicle stops within the applicable jurisdiction. We had no searches in 2024, and that includes the arrest by warrant. We didn't search that individual either. So if we move on to page 12. This is additional analysis, statistical analysis of motor vehicle stops relative to gender, population of the agency's reported area. In December of 2020, TCOL sent out an email requiring agencies to start reporting that. So in 2024, of our 173 motor vehicle stops, 78, or roughly 45%, were female drivers, and roughly 50% were male drivers. According to 2024 enrollment information, Amarillo College student population is comprised of 65.16% females, 34.84% male students. So overall, male drivers were stopped at a higher rate than the proportion of Amarillo College student population. As we move down to the bottom, that's additional information required to be reported by TCOL, and that's just Whether or not you knew on table 2, see it says was race ethnicity known prior to stop, 173 times, which is all the stops, no. And then we stopped vehicles 172 times on a city street and 1 time on a US highway. So on the final page, page 13, that's the final analysis. All the foregoing analysis shows that the Amarillo College Police Department is fully in compliance with all relevant Texas laws concerning racial profiling, including the existence of a formal policy prohibiting racial profiling by its officers, an education and training process, and a formalized complaint process. That's it. If anyone has any questions, I'm to entertain them.
Do you know what percentage were not students that were stopped?
No, there's no way to really to get that information unless I said we then turn that traffic stop into an investigation, because then we're now asking you specific information about, are you a student, things of that nature that don't pertain to the scope of the traffic stop.
So it may not be as helpful to compare the student population since they may not all be students. So when we're looking at percentage of male, female of our students, if they're not all students, then that may not be, we don't know that.
And that's the problem with doing this, is there's really no way to do that regardless of what jurisdiction you're in. The city of Amarillo has that problem because we have 2 major thoroughfares going through Amarillo. So you have transient people traveling through the area, but you can't ever get a true representation of what your benchmark data is, because you don't know who you're stopping and who you're not. This is one of those things that the state requires it, so we do it, and we just say that we're doing it, but there's really no way to tell what's going on unless you have a overt instance where someone is racial profiling.
Aaron, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've got a couple of questions, so just bear with me. How many officers do you have on you?
I currently have 8 patrol officers and 1 captain, and we are about 4 short.
And is there a boundary of the jurisdiction for the college?
No, by law, our jurisdiction is any county that we have Amarillo College property. So our jurisdiction is more closely resembles that of DPS, Department of Public Safety. So we can go anywhere in Potter County, Randall County, Moore County, F. Smith County, and conduct a traffic stop and act as a peace officer. However, that's not what we do. We try to just maintain within a close proximity to the college so that we can protect our property, our students, our faculty, our staff. I don't encourage them nor promote them to go out and just do stuff throughout town. However, if they see a major criminal act in progress, then they're peace officers. They need to take action, but they don't need to be doing anything other than that.
So if y'all issue a citation, do they pay the college for that citation fee, or is that?
No. So we have 2 forms of citations. The first citation is a state citation that goes to Justice of Peace Debbie Horn, and they go to that court and pay. I've worked out an agreement with her that if our students go there because of our students' economic status, and they tell her that they're in a position where they've got this citation and it's money and they need to go to college, they need to buy groceries, that she will give them community service, and they come back here and we assign them something to do, and then they go back and then that citation is gone. We do that. They need to learn consequences for their actions. Other institutions, you get a ticket, you pay the ticket, there's no empathy, there's no grace, there's nothing. They write you a ticket and it's whatever it is. However, I've worked it out with Warren, so we can do that because I think that's appropriate. We're still paying a consequence for their action, but it's not costing them to make a decision between food, school, lights, electricity.
You said there were 2 types of.
Well, the other one is a citation through the college. It's a $10 fee, but that's mostly for parking violations. It's not for any moving violations. And that money goes into the general fund.
Aaron, looking at your stats on page 12, you have 1 violation on a US highway. So
Yes, ma'am.
how would that be I-40?
That could be I-40, 287, I-27. It would be one of those. And typically what that is if our officers are transiting from one campus to another and they see an egregious traffic violation, they'll pull someone over. And I believe that is a stop that resulted in the outstanding warrant.
They were on the run.
Yes, John.
Do you also track data for like any break-ins or vandalism or anything? like that?
Yes, we can compile that through our record management system. And we're currently in the process of getting a new one, which is going to make that type of data much easier to track and count.
Every year we do a report where that type of data is reported. And the current one is out on our website, the police department's website, for you to go see how many car break-ins, those sort of things. Is correct, Aaron?
Yes, but it's not on there currently because we've had some problems compiling it, getting that information from the current record management system we're using. So other than going through and just manually going through that information, which is pretty tedious, we don't have that. So I'm also currently in the process of revamping our website to where we can provide better information for school safety, for crime stats, for these stats, clarity report and everything else. That'll make it much more user-friendly for someone coming on that website.
All right. Anyone else? Chief Huddleston, on behalf of the board, thank you for keeping us all safe and secure. And also, I hope none of us is a part of your data. So more importantly, thank you.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we have a slogan, I guess you would call it, that says success is AC. Success is a lot of different things. Well, tonight we have success is esports. And I want to invite Coach George to come up and talk about this amazing champion, this amazing athlete that we have with us this evening. Christopher? Oh, wow. Are we going to play?
Yeah, hi everybody, how you doing? So right now on TV, you see in Madden 25. This is Christopher the Goat Petty, who is our most recent national champion in Madden 25 in the National Junior College Athletic Association.
Congratulations.
I do believe so. Undefeated season. In our first foray, we've had multiple national championships and other titles over the years. This is our first year in the National Junior College Athletic Association. He's brought it home. And we're really proud of him. We really just love having esports and giving the opportunity for the students who want to take on those roles of team and leadership and success and take their skills to a higher level. We're glad to be able to give that to them. We really appreciate it. And you want to tell these people anything about maybe what you're doing here? This is maybe a game you played the other day.
Yeah, so this on the screen right here, this is one of my CFM, which is like an online franchise with 32 other players. And this was just a regular season match. I'm the Patriots team, and I mean, I normally just try to stream all of those games just because a lot of my friends, they like watching me play. And then just some like randoms I've met like through like Discord or through like the NJCAA League, they've added me and I mean, they follow the Twitch. So I really just stream a little bit when I can. Mainly it's on like Monday and Fridays because those are like my short days of school where I don't have class at all. So I try to fit that in.
When he says follow the Twitch, that's not a medical condition. That's actually a channel that people watch esports on. I'm sorry. I really would like for you to play for the Cowboys and have an undefeated team for the Cowboys because we'll never do that ever again. So tell us about your future in esports.
As far as my future, after I graduate here in the spring, I plan to go to WT and I still want to study biology and eventually become a neurologist.
Mhm.
And as of right now, the league WT isn't in, or is in, doesn't have like Madden as part of their curriculum. However, I'm hoping to speak to their esports director and hopefully he can get me into some of these like secondary, just university, just
Yeah.
like open tournaments or open leagues, and then I can grow it over there.
You said neurology?
Yes.
Well, if that doesn't work out, maybe you can be a streamcaster, maybe you can be a competitor, because I know esports, you can make a lot of money in this. So I'm so glad. No, I know, but I'm just saying, a lot of people think esports, oh, they're just people that, live in their parents' basement and, eat chips all day long. Not this young man, Christopher. Good job.
Thank you.
Christopher, do you make money playing?
It depends on what I do. For the most, or during the school year, most of the time, I don't do like players lounge, which is like the universal like wagering side. But like in the summer when I have free time and I'm working enough where I can like spend extra money on it, I do. And I've made a couple of $100s on it. But during the school year, I really focus just on getting my schoolwork done. And then if I have time, I'll go play just normal head to head.
Is there a professional league in Madden?
The professional league so far, it's called MCS, which is the Madden Championship Series, and it goes on like August through February. And I'm hoping next year actually I'll be able to compete in that. I just haven't had the time really previously, and you have to be a certain age to play. But now that I'm of age and I'll have a lot more free time, I'm gonna go dip my hands in the water and see how that goes.
To be as good as you are, how much practice time do you put in? How much do you play a week?
Now, as of recently, it hasn't been that much, but on breaks, like summer breaks, winter breaks, really, I'm putting maybe like 3, 4 hours a day just into Madden, just playing head to head. Because the best way to get good at it is just to like play constantly, and so I'm just doing that whenever I can and whenever I'm not tired of Madden.
Wonderful.
Johnny and Paul kind of sounds like baseball, doesn't it? Got to go to practice.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, just thank y'all for inviting me, and thank you for Professor George for having the esports program and helping me throughout the way.
Well, thank you for representing the Badgers so very well, and we encourage you to badger on. All right. All right. Congratulations.
All the new jerseys for the year. So our new kit, our new outfit here. Of course, we're now Junior College Athletic Association. We will be having the players' gamer tag on the back with
Cool.
their number for our Tier 1 Premier Series varsity players, and also a online store where you'll be able to purchase various merchandise.
Nice.
Thank y'all so much.
Chris George, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. That concludes our status update. Let's take a 10-minute break and everyone be back, please, by 6:48. Go.
He did. An accelerated clock.
Who did?
Yeah, 10 minutes to 6
10-minute break and we'll be back in 6 minutes.
on the clock. After incomplete passes.
Yeah,
and
we don't ever
everything.
stop the
First
clock.
downs,
No stop.
run the clock.
Absolutely. everybody's ready to start, we're serving food and we're eating. Everybody gets quiet when we eat.
I know. Their mouths are full. We'll let Dave and Peggy get their coffee.
You know, they wanted the lessons and the tips versus.
All right. Going to go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Amarillo College Board of Regents regular meeting on January 28th, 2025. I believe we are live streaming. Look like we're
We
live
are,
streaming.
Ally.
Okay. Awesome. We are live streaming at this time. Call this meeting to order. I want to welcome everyone to this meeting this evening. And thank you for being here and showing interest in the work that we're doing here. Let's go ahead and have our Pledge of Allegiance at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. You may be seated. Before we get to item number 4, I want to have item 3.5 inserted there. And we have, this is a momentous occasion. We have a new college president coming on board. But with that, we have an outstanding, wonderful, amazing, terrific interim president leaving tonight. And so Denise, thank you so much for what you've done for us. Let's all give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. And if that's not good enough, we have some gifts. So we'd like to go ahead and share those with you. Some card, plant, and we can just move that over into your office right over there. And then, and I will have to say, Ally and Annette conspired on a lot of this. But let's go ahead and look at this. With gratitude for your leadership, Badgers, Amarillo College Board of Regents. We cannot say thank you enough, Denise, for everything that you've done. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much.
So, y'all, it's been the honor of my life to serve the college. As many of y'all know, that I'm a product of Amarillo College. And if it weren't for Amarillo College, other than having a lifesaver in my mouth speaking, I do know better.
But you didn't know that.
I did not know this was coming. But thank y'all. It's been an honor to serve you. I've learned a lot. And the most important thing that I've really enjoyed is the relationships that I built with the board and those deeper relationships with my family at Amarillo College. That I've had good friends, but now I have great friends in a wider swath of them. So thank y'all.
Thank you so much. All right. Now we'll go on to item number 4, public comments. Do we have any public comments at this time? None at this time. All right. We're going to go ahead and continue with looking at the minutes from several meetings. And I know all of you read each one of them, each one of the minutes line by line. And by say all of you, I mean Irene. That's what I'm saying. And so please let us know if we need to make any changes or I would hear a motion to approve those at this time.
I make a motion to approve.
Irene has approved those,
Second.
made a motion, and David has seconded that. Thank you so much for that. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? All right, that motion carries. Thank you so much. Our consent agenda. We have some no appointments, faculty, budget amendments are attached on page 5. I would hear a motion for consent agenda being approved.
Move for approval.
All right, John? All right. And Johnny, thank you for that. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? All right, that motion carries. Support for continued funding of community colleges by Texas legislature. And this item is placed on the board agenda in order for the Board of Regents to consider communicating to the Texas legislature its support for continued funding of House Bill 8, supplemental appropriations, formula funding recommendations by the Higher Ed Coordinating Board, and amendments to the performance tier. A proposed resolution of support is included in the materials on page 6. Do I need to read that?
No.
Okay. I hope all of you read that. I hope all of you read that. It's very important that we sign this resolution in support of the work that CAT is doing, the work that TAC is doing. We are one voice and one loud voice at the legislature. And I believe that the job that we're doing, you know, we're basing our funding upon outcomes. And the state undergave us money, if that's a way to say it, by about $50 million. I think that's what we're asking for, $47 to $50 million more, because of the excellent work community colleges are doing in the state. And I think that's worth support. So I would hear a motion in support of this resolution.
I move that we support the resolution.
All right, David, thank you. Any second? All right, Annette, seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed by the same sign? All right, that motion carries. Thank you so much. Chris, you want to come up and talk to us about something we do every time about every time this year, or about this time every year, and that is the election orders.
If you haven't heard, we're
The
going to have
other
an
year.
election this year, so it will fall under the Uniform Election Day of Saturday, May the 3rd. We have 3 positions open that will serve a 6-year term for the Board of Regents. In your packet is the election order, and I believe Annette has the agenda wording on it. Any questions, comments on our election?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, Annette, please make a motion.
Move that Amarillo College order a general election to be held on May 3rd, 2025, for the purpose of electing 3 persons to the Board of Regents for 3 regular 6-year terms. Such election to use the cumulative voting procedure. All is as outlined in the election orders provided to the regents. I further move that the Vice President of Business Affairs shall be the college election coordinator, and as such is authorized to execute any agreements necessary for the conducting of said election.
All right, that motion has been made. Any second?
A second.
All right, Peggy, thank you very much. Any discussion?
Who's the cost gonna be?
If we have an election, it's around 15,000, I believe. It's a shared cost with both counties.
All right, any other discussion, questions? All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Looks like we're going to have an election if we have more than 3 candidates running. All right, number 9, Chris, you're also going to talk about this invitation to bid package number 1415, best value invitation for bid for carpentry supplies and other related items.
Correct. This is really housekeeping stuff. We purchase a lot of carpentry supplies throughout the year. And as those purchases happen, sometimes they go over $50,000, which triggers a need to go out on bid for it. So that's what we did here. We went out on bid for carpentry supplies. We had one supplier bid on it, and it was Pride Home Center. Pride Home Center is who we use anyway, and they have the lowest prices in town for the carpentry supplies. So we'll spend up to $65,000 on these supplies through Home Pride Center, and we just need you guys to approve that bid.
These are for general maintenance and operation type things, repairs.
Correct. Primarily through our East Campus housing.
Oh, yeah.
Remodeling those.
Approval.
And Paul and Johnny seconds that motion. let's go ahead and have any discussion. 65,000. All right. So all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Any opposed will get a hammer and start hammering, right now. So good job. Number 10, Chris, you just stay right where you are and lead us through the sale of the county property obtained through the sheriff's sale.
Yeah, Potter County had a sheriff's sale for 2 pieces of property. It's the addresses of those properties. The first go around, when they put it up for bid, they put a minimum on there. Neither of these pieces of properties met the minimum, so they put them back up for auction and took the minimum off. So the law allows for that to happen, to take that minimum off. So in your packet, you can see where they sold for the property at 1202 Southwestern, sold for the highest bid was $50,000. And then the property at 927 Bowie Street sold for $35,000. And it's recommended that you guys approve this so we can get this property back on the tax rolls and start collecting property tax from them.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Okay, John, second by Johnny. Any discussion? Questions? All right, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed by the same sign? All right, that motion carries. Thank you, Chris. Chris, do we need to get you a stool? You're still up there.
Maybe.
Okay. All right, let's talk about text pool, amending authorized representatives for such organization.
Yeah, if you guys recall, you did this in the fall. Textpool is the organization that we use to invest some of our funds, them and Amarillo National Bank. We lost our treasurer in the fall. She went to Frank Phillips College. So we have hired a new treasurer, and we need to get her name on the Textpool rolls so that she can look into, log in, and do any of those transfers of funds. When we do that, when we add somebody, you always have to reauthorize whoever is on there too. So it'll be myself, Michael Sugden, Vanessa Tier is our new employee that is coming over, and then Michelle Vineyard, who is my assistant. We'll all be authorized to work with Textpool.
Move for approval.
Michelle, any second?
Second.
Peggy, any questions or comments, discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? All right, that motion carries. Chris, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Next up is Mark White, the approval and adoption of updates to the Board of Regents online policy manual.
Yes, this is update 48 from TASB. And as you can see in your packet, there are 4 of our Board of Regents policies that need to be updated and amended in accordance with, the constant new laws that we're getting and that kind of thing. So they're not very, they're pretty mundane this time, but I'll go over them real quickly. CAK and CDE, those are both have to do with accounting. And in CAK, the change is that broker dealers that we utilize have to be licensed and approved by our finance committee, and they have to have certain qualifications. That's on page 5 of 8 of CAK if you want to see that. CDE, there's some new financial ethics that have to do with reporting supposed fraud or something like that in connection with federal requirements. And so that's just another thing that we have to have in there. DHB, that's employee standards of conduct about child abuse. The only change there is to clarify some state requirements that these oral reports to the CPS have to be recorded. some small changes like that. And then the more important one is FAA, that's the Equal Educational Opportunity for pregnant and parenting students, as part of the quite a few statutes that the legislature passed that what I would call family-friendly statutes. They passed a lot of them. And this is one of them. And it requires us to have a liaison at the college for our students that are pregnant or parenting, and offer a lot of different accommodations to ensure the success of these pregnant and parenting students. And so FAA has been changed to do that, as you can see, page 1 of 1 there of FAA. The counterpart to that is going to be in our student handbook and employee handbook. And we actually passed that in cabinet today. So as part of our student rights and responsibilities handbook, we kind of say the same thing, that our faculty and staff then have to be able to lead these pregnant and parenting students to our liaison, who is going to be Jordan Herrera in the ARC. And then as they ask for accommodations for things like, turning in work late and different things like that, they will be given some accommodations so that they can be successful pregnant and parenting students. And so we've taken care of all of that, but you needed to pass these tonight as part of our policy.
And it comes as a recommendation from committee.
Okay.
Does anyone on the committee want to say anything?
I have a motion that Mark has helpfully provided me.
I guess we need a motion.
I move that the board accept and adopt the changes to our local policies as recommended by TASB Community College Services and the changes recommended by the Board Policy Committee, all as outlined in the board book, materials, and agenda.
Second.
Second by Annette. Okay, any discussion?
I just want to say that's the best money we've ever spent.
Yes, yes.
Second that.
Thank you, Annette and Mark, for getting that done. Also, didn't you say your organization, Mark, TACA, is joining with TASB somehow or another?
Yes, during my presidency, I'm going
Yay.
to make that done. We're going to merge our organization with TASB, so we have a better infrastructure with which to run our organization.
From small seeds grow great things.
And didn't you bring Tasby to us?
Yes,
I did.
yes.
I had to fight tooth and nail to get us to do it, but
It's been a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All
I
right.
don't remember it that way.
All in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? By the same sign. All right, that motion carries. Tenure recommendations, one of our favorite things to look at and do and get to approve is tenure. So Dr. Sobey, please let us know who is getting tenure.
So the following faculty members have been recommended for tenure by their supervisors, the Rank and Tenure Committee, the appropriate administrative channels, and the president. They meet all criteria for tenure as stated in the Amarillo College Employee Handbook, Section 9. If approved, the effective date will be September 1, 2025. These are all fine faculty. They're very engaged with the college, one of whom is here tonight, Dr. Chris Hudson, who will be joining our AC team in Austin next week. So after discussion, the board may wish to approve tenure recommendations.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Move for approval.
Paul, second?
Second.
All right, David, any discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? All right, that motion carries. Welcome to tenure. Oh, Chris, dadgummit, you rack up.
Get me again.
You got to test your knees out right now. The investment reports. And so we're going to be looking at our quarterly investment report for the period September 1, 24 through November 30, 2024.
Yeah, this is a little dated information. We would have had this in December, but we didn't have a meeting in December. So this is information ending November of 24. So we had, at the end of November, we had $22,359,000 in our portfolio. Part of that is in Amarillo National Bank CDs, and then part of it is in tax pool that we just talked about. We're getting an interest rate of 4.962%, so it's coming down just a little bit, but still really good from past 10 years. If you'll look on the next page, you can see at that point, we had 75% of our investments was in CDs at Amarillo National Bank and almost 25% in tax pool. The rest of the report just shows where it's invested, how it's invested in tax pool and in the CDs. Any questions, comments on our investment report?
Okay, do I hear a motion about our investments?
Move for approval.
David? Annette? Any discussion? All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? All right. Tiffany, financial reports for November and December, and those are attached at pages 11 through 28. Tiffany, thank you.
All right, so like normal, since we didn't have a December meeting, your November financials are included as well as the December financials, but since they're year to date, we're just going to go over the December ones.
Okay.
Let me know if you have any questions. So we're going to start on page 19. This is the unaudited statement of net position. So your first column is December 23 and your last column is December 24. So we're going to compare those two. So the total assets for the end of December 23, $273,686,028 compared to the end of December 24, $269,327,588. So it's a change of approximately $4 million. You'll notice that the current assets, the investments and the cash have kind of fluctuated and gone down, but our property and equipment has gone up. So as we've spent the money, we've built things, bought things, and so you're kind of seeing the inverse there. If you'll go to page 20, this is the liability section of that statement of net position. At the bottom, your total liabilities, $234,722,943 at the end of December 23. On the far right column, total liabilities end of December 2024, $226,591,837, which is a decrease of $8 million. We had a bond payment of a little over $7.5 million that was paid out in February 2024, and so that's the difference there. If you will flip over to page 22, that is the revenue piece of your statement of revenues and expenses and changes in net position. Use the same two columns. So the first column is fiscal year 2024 through December 23. And then your last column is fiscal year 2025 through December 24. So at the bottom, your total revenue, $45,125,615 at the end of December 23. Compared to $50,072,863 at the end of December 24, which is an increase of about $5 million. I explained this the last meeting that we had in November, and so the explanation is still the same. If you'll look under the non-operating revenues, there's a gift line. It has $4,765,550 at the end of December 24. Those are gifts that were given to the AC Foundation for through the capital campaign for construction and the like. When we move it over to AC, we put it in this gift line so we can kind of monitor what it's coming in for. So it's been used for past construction, like during this construction phase, but not necessarily the stuff that's happening this very second. If you will go to the next page, page 23, this is the expense section of that statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. So at the bottom, total expenses at the end of December 2023, $40,909,544 compared to the last column, December 2024, $41,776,582. So they remained pretty consistent from year to year. Your total change in net position at the end of December 2024 was an increase of $8,296,281. Any questions?
I'll entertain a motion concerning our financial report.
Move for approval.
Net and Johnny second. Any question or discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. And any opposed by the same sign? All right, thank you very much. At this time, we are going to look at item number 16, approval of employment agreement for the president of Amarillo Junior College District. Mark, you don't want to say anything now, do you? Because we're going to go ahead and go into closed session at this time so that the board may deliberate and discuss this. There will be a closed session so that we may deliberate the appointment, employment, and duties of the college president pursuant to Texas Government Code
He's got the vote. David, he's got one vote. I handed out two, I was saying. So I'm David to do.
Yeah, let's look at that. There. David.
I do have it.
All right. Push the button, and are we back live streaming? Okay. We're turned on. We are coming now, the closed session has concluded. No final decision, action, or vote was taken in closed session. We now convene an open session. The time is now 7:45 PM. And a quorum is still present. We now return to agenda item number 16, and I believe we do have a motion.
Yes, I with great pleasure move that the Board of Regents approve the employment agreement with Jamel J. Connor, PhD, for the position of President of Amarillo College effective January 27th, my birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday.
For initial 3-year term with a base salary of $280,000 per year.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think we get her husband along with it.
Well, what I was going to say for him is he gets Best Husband of the Night award for sticking it out this long. So for sure. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by the same sign. Okay, and we have one opposed, and Irene. All right, Dr. Connor, if you would please come to the front. We'll just kind of make this swap and welcome you to the front here and make it official. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
All right. Have a seat. That comfortable sitting? Does that feel good?
It
All
feels
right,
great.
good. Well, thank you so much for being here and for moving across country. You know, I will tell you, Florida and Texas have some similarities, but we're a lot better. You're going to find out we have great food, great music here in Amarillo, lots to do and lots of work to do. And we appreciate the fact that you're willing to roll your sleeves up and get right at it. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to hear a motion now, the final motion of the night, if anyone wants to move for adjournment. Oh,
I was just gonna give
Please.
Dr. Connor an opportunity to say something.
That's I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say I'm ready to go home. No, if you want to say something.
And I will keep it brief. How about
Well, no, you can go say as long as you want.
that? First of all, I wanted to also acknowledge Denise Skinner
Yes.
for the true servant heart that she so obviously has for Amarillo College and the community and the faculty and students. She's done incredible work as interim president, and you can definitely see that. Also, thank you so much for just these first couple of days with how much grace you've shown in getting me up to speed on things and being willing to help out. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. So thank you very much.
Glad you're here.
And then I'm absolutely honored to serve as the next president of Amarillo College. Thank you to the board for all of your support and definite warm welcome that I've received. I've hit the ground running. As you mentioned, we have our about 100-day plan that we're working on. So already getting started in attending events and meeting people at the college and in the community. We've got definitely a busy several months coming up as we're working through. I'll be attending even more events now that the legislature's in session. I'll be attending and working on that. Saturday, I'm supposed to throw out the first pitch. So we're gonna see how.
Are you working with
that's
Paul
gonna
on
go.
that? Paul's the man. He's the guy.
Working so that I do a good job with that.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of all these other things, also making sure getting out and getting to know the campuses, the facilities, as well as definitely meeting with faculty, staff, and students and getting to know them. And then the 100+ day date kind of came up because it culminates in our first, my first graduation this
Congratulations.
spring with Amarillo College. So absolutely thrilled and excited to be here and ready to get working with everyone. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, welcome. Welcome to Amarillo. Anything else, anybody? With that, now I will entertain a motion. Thank you, Michelle, for saving my butt because I really was not meaning to cut you off. I
so excited.
was just so excited. We did it. Anybody would, okay, Annette, second? All right. I don't even want to vote on that. We're just gonna do it.
Thank you so much.
It does not look like. Can I get bored?